Hello, Grade 10 students. Speaking 5A. Remember, it's very important to prepare your book before you watch the video. So please, prepare your student's book, pages 63 and 75. Today's objectives. Number 1. Label some communication means. 2. Demonstrate understanding of 5 questions expressing personal experience. 3. Formulate dialogues or exchanges between two people using the phrases learned. Let's start with this question. What is the most famous way of communication in today's world? Phones or social media applications? Perfect! Student's book, page 63, speaking section. Let's read the instructions together. Talk in groups. Go to the speaking activities section on page 75. So let's go to page 75 together. I would like you to please read the following questions in your student's book, page 75. Highlight difficult or unknown words while reading and try to identify their meanings through context. Now let's read the questions together. How do you communicate with the different people in your life? What are some popular social networking sites people your age use, and what do they use them for? What are the advantages and disadvantages of smartphones? How has electronic communication changed people's lives? What do you think the future of communication will be like? Now, check the meanings and come back. It's time to check these 3 important tips to prepare for a discussion together. It's found in your student's book, page 75. Tip number 1. Take turns. My dear students, when discussing a topic, I advise you to take turns to speak. In other words, do not interrupt other speakers unless you have something very urgent to say. And today, we will see how we can interrupt without being rude. Number 2, you have to listen to what the other person is saying and try not to interrupt him or her frequently. If you need to interrupt, do it politely. 3, please avoid long pauses. When it's your turn to speak and you need more time to think about what to say, avoid long pauses. There are certain phrases which help you gain time, and we will check that in today's lesson. It's time to answer the 5 questions we have discussed before. Pause the video, try to answer the questions, and come back for a discussion. There are different things that you can do or say before answering a question or when taking part in a discussion. Let's take this question for example. How do you communicate with the different people in your life? Well, let's take a look at this table found in your student's book, page 75. Perfect. In order to take time to think when answering a question or when leading a discussion, and at the same time, you don't want to take long pauses, you can simply use one of these expressions that will help you gain more time. Let's take a closer look. Well, let's see now. Or, give me a minute. As you see, you have 4 different expressions that you can use in order to take time to think and at the same time avoid long pauses. Secondly, in order to interrupt, if you have something urgent to say or add something, you can simply use one of these expressions. Sorry to interrupt, but can I add something? Could I say something before you continue? As you see, you have 5 different expressions that you can use in order to interrupt someone politely. Finally, to get back to a certain topic, you can simply use one of these expressions. Anyway, as I was saying, now what was I saying? So, in order to contribute, take time to think, or interrupt politely, use these expressions. Question 2. Let's take a look together. What are some popular social networking sites people your age use, and what do they use them for? Well, obviously, the question is asking about the popular social networking sites. Let's take a look at this box found in your student's book, page 75. It has provided us with examples of some useful apps such as instant messaging, Skype, video chat. I'm sure you can support me with extra examples of useful apps that you use. What are the advantages and disadvantages of smartphones? Advantages are positive aspects. Disadvantages are negative aspects. Let's take a look one more time at this table. As you can see, he provided some advantages and disadvantages of smartphones, such as he mentioned that advantages are user-friendly, handy, practical, and so on. Some of the disadvantages might be that they are time-consuming, there might be some viruses, inconvenient for some people, and as you can see, you have more disadvantages. It's time for a dialogue or discussion. Let's start with question 1. How do you communicate with different people in your life? You know, I use instant messaging, Skype, and video chat. As you notice, the speaker over here used the expression you know in order to take time to think. Such expressions help speakers take time to think, and at the same time, it allows them to avoid long pauses when answering questions or taking part in a discussion. So remember, my dear students, next time you want to take time to think when answering questions, use such expressions to avoid pauses. What are some popular social networking sites people your age use, and what do they use them for? Anyway, as I was saying, I like to use Facebook and Instagram. I use Facebook to connect with family and friends, and Instagram to share pictures with friends. Anyway, as I was saying, is another expression that you can use to get back to a certain topic. What are the advantages and disadvantages of smartphones? Well, let's see now. Some advantages of using smartphones are that they really are user-friendly and time-saving. On the other hand, Some disadvantages of smartphones are that they are time-consuming and costly. Can I add something? Another disadvantage is that you need to keep them up to date. As you notice, my students, well, let's see now, is an expression used to take time to think. In addition, we have used some of the advantages and disadvantages from the boxes in your student's book, page 75. How has electronic communication changed people's lives? Give me a minute. I think electronic communication changed our lives for the better. We can communicate with people in any part of the world just with a click of a button. Now, where was I? Electronic communication also lessened the need for us to socialize face to face. My dear students, I want you to notice this expression. Give me a minute. As you see, this expression shows that the speaker is taking time to think. So next time you want to take time to think without taking a long pause, you can use such expressions. Let's take a look at the second expression. Now, where was I? As you notice, this expression is used to get back to a certain topic. What do you think the future of communication will be like? I think in the future communication will be even less human interaction. We will also rely more on artificial intelligence. As you notice, is another expression that speakers can use to take time to think. At the same time, it allows you to avoid long pauses. Now it's your turn, my dear students, to answer these questions using the phrases in the following box. Remember, whenever you need to take time to think, you have to use one of these expressions. It will give you time to think, and at the same time, it will allow you to avoid long pauses. Moreover, if you need to interrupt people politely when they are talking, you can use one of these expressions. Lastly, if you need to get back to a certain topic, you can use one of these expressions. Try to practice more of these expressions while speaking.